So now that I have my kind of overlay of program blocks, the next thing to do is convert these into walls and to more formalize the design. Um, each one of the program blocks, of course, represent the kind of area that I felt like well, not that I felt like the program dictated that I needed for those particular spaces. In my original concept, this right here is a break room. This one is the mechanical, and so my original idea in the bathrooms here. So everything in the back of the building, in a sense, off the alley and off the parking for the employees would be kind of the core in a sense, all the plumbing, all that kind of stuff. The break room's going to eventually have a small cabinet in it, right, with a small refrigerator and stuff. And then everything else would be forward here with the conference room being right here. And then this is the receptionist and entry receptionist lobby area, and then with three offices on each side of the program said I had to have at least a minimum of three offices, and that were a minimum of 12 by 12. Uh, so so anyway, that's my initial layout, initial idea there. So so let's take this next to the kind of floor plan level. I'm just going to start off doing walls. I could do the floor plate first, uh, but I'm just going to assume uh, I'm going to let my floor plate move in shape as I start to refine my rooms here. Since I already know some dimensions, a couple of things I'm going to do. Okay, um, I like to use grid lines to, even though I may not use them structurally later, I like to put grid lines in to create points in which to measure from and so forth. And since this room is 12 by 12, um, isn't that right? Yeah, 12 by 12. This one's 12 by 12. All of these offices are 12 by 12. And then these are 16 feet wide, right? So I'm going to go to the first floor plan here. And I got masses turned on. I could turn them off here in a second. But what I'm going to do is put some grid lines in. So I'm going to go architecture grid. And these are grid lines that I'm going to delete later anyway. So I'm not going to really worry about their numbering per se. Um, and then I think I'll go ahead and throw here. Now you don't have to use, grid lines the way I'm doing. The only really, since I'd already previously determined I was going to have load-bearing masonry walls on the outside and no internal structure, 1 and 2 and A and B are really the only ones that I need to show the structure and location of structure. So let's put the structural walls in kind of first. And I said that this was going to be a masonry building, uh, CMU with then some kind of stone veneer on the outside. In that case, if, let's go into structural here. I could start with a generic, uh, just a generic wall. The generic masonry here just happens to have a concrete material added to it. Um, but my wall, even though it's 8-inch CMU, has got a whole number of things on top of it. If I'm doing stone, I've got 4 or 5 inches of stone. So 8 and 4 or 5 is 12 inches, and alone. And so it's probably going to be somewhere around, 16 inches, almost 16 inches in depth before it's all over and said and done with. Maybe a little less than 16 inches. So what I'm going to do is I could start with this 12-inch masonry, but I'm just going to go ahead and make me another one. I could do generic, or I could go ahead and if I knew what my uh, wall section was going to look like, in other words, all the different layers, I could go ahead and build that to begin with. But right now, I'll just put it in instead of, you know, adapting one of these to my stone CMU and stone veneer. I'm just going to put a 14-inch generic masonry wall in here. So I'm going to take that wall, hit edit type, and then go edit in here. We have concrete masonry unit. I'll just go ahead and add uh, a veneer to this, and maybe I can use it later. So I'm going to go and insert. Uh, we'll move this outside the core boundary, because the core boundary uh, is structure. Everything outside is some kind of envelope system. So I'm going to, and then I'm going to change this from structure to, we'll just say a finish one, and we'll come back and later and put membranes and stuff like that into it. And then we're going to say a 5-inch minimum, uh, you know, and actually if we add space and all of that, this is probably a total of another 8 inches. So I'm just going to add that in as 8 inches if I add everything together. Now, once again, you could go into Ching's book or something like that, kind of get see what layers are there and get an overall. So we're going to have, and then my structure is going to be, I don't know, I deleted that somehow. 7. Hmm. Oh, I moved that. I see what I said. Okay. I'm going to just, for all practical purposes right here, I'm just going to go ahead and call this stone. So let's go, I'll go ahead and find a material, let you show you what I'm doing here. So stone, let's see what we come up with. Concrete. There's stone natural soldier. I don't know if that's what I want. That's not what I want. I was trying to see. That's a rubble, but that's not what I want. Stone ceramic. There may not be one here. I may have to go find one later. Um, there's bluestone. I don't know about that. Uh, what the hell? We'll just use bluestone right now. So I'm gonna. These are the libraries. If we look into masonry here, we'll see natural and concrete. These are different libraries that are downloaded when you download your Revit. And then I'm just going to go with this bluestone. Close enough for government work here. Come on, get small enough that I can say apply. Okay. And so that's going to be bluestone. This is going to be CMU. That's going to be pretty easy. CMU, concrete masonry units. And we'll put that in there. If I wanted to kind of look like, oops. Okay, kind of, I don't know why. Insert. That's interior. I don't want that. For some reason, it got rid of my stone there. Finish. And let's go stone. C-O-N-E. And then we need about 8 inches of that. Okay, so now should be okay. Oh, I saved it over the existing. Should have duplicated it, but I didn't. I'm going to call this my 16-inch masonry bluestone. So now, anyway, so create you a generic wall. It could be just one material, and it could just be, general white stuff. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to set it. I want to determine it by height. In other words, I want to start from where the bottom of the wall is and draw it upwards. Yeah, da 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 da. I want to go from uh, the first finished floor. Right now, I'm going to go to the roof finished floor, which is set to 14 feet. So I'm just going to go up to 14 feet, and then I'll work with that. That's good enough. So I'm going to change this from unconnected, though, so it won't be 20 feet, and go up to the roof. I'll start making additional layers here in a minute. And then let's just do this by a single line. And then you'll see it's based on center line right now. Well, that's fine for the walls and going towards the parking lot, but actually the walls have to be all inside that property line. I mean that structural line there. So I'm going to hit my tab bar, or let's let's do this. We don't want to draw by center line. I want to draw by the outside edge. Uh, ah, Lost it. Structural. Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, and not by center line, but by the finish face on the exterior of the building, right? Because that's what I want on at here A, B, AB1, B2, A2, and A1. And finish floor, once again, up to level there. It says it's 14 feet. So there, it happens to be on the right side. If I was drawing and it happened to be on the other side, uh, for instance, like this, all I did was hit the space bar, and that'll flip it back and forth, right? So I'm going to drop this from here to here, and here to here, and here to here, and here to here. Now, what this is really going to change, and I'm not going to make additions for it right now, okay? But what that's going to change is this is actually the finish. So these grid lines are not on structure right now. They are the edge of the finish. But that's okay. I'll move those later. For right now, though, that sounds my boundary. So of course now my blocks, part of that is now being taken up. So I'm going to move them out. Probably the easiest way to do that is just do a join. Let's do this. Yeah. Okay. So my 12 by 12 really should be that far out. Okay. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and try to save the 12 by 12 by going this far out. I could move those lines, but I'm just going to actually, I'm not going to need those. I thought I would, but I really don't. Okay, so I'm going to put some interior walls in here and just start laying out some interior walls, some standard. So we're going to go, no, edit type. We're going to go in here, architecture. In this case, we're going to use non-structural walls, architectural walls is what Revit calls them. And two by, uh, you know, uh, 2x4 metal studs, uh, which would be basically, let's see, with a 1/2 inch plywood on each side. I think that's 4 7/8. Okay, and they've created some. I can check it real quick. Okay, this should be 5H gypsum on that side. No, it should have, and then 5H gypsum on the other side. Yeah, there we go. So 5H, yeah. So that's a standard, your standard 1 hour wall commercial applicant. And so with that done, then what I'm going to do is once again draw some walls. I'm not really worrying. Okay, now I could draw them on the center line if I wanted to, and I think I probably will because it's evident to me that I'm going to run out of some space here. Um, But notice I didn't worry about where that wall is. I'm going to go ahead and just pull it up. Okay, so I've got that there, uh, and I'm just going to go through. I'm going to turn this off and go through, and then I'll pick it up in the next video with it kind of finished. But you've got the idea. I'm just going to lay out, and I'll show you in the next video what I laid out.